right, everybody, welcome back to Choose Inclusion. Today we are doing a couple things. So one is continuing our Black Voices Matter segment, but two, because this person is also part of the disability community, kind of talking a little bit about the 30th anniversary of the ADA, which was just yesterday. So first of all, hello to Nina and Mike, my partners in crime. How are you two?
All right, how are you doing, UB and Mike?
I'm doing pretty good. I just found out I was married, Nina, and I'm ecstatic. So
yes, Mike is now on the payroll. Well, thank you both for being here as always, and I want to introduce producer, actor, and advocate right here in Denver, Colorado, Stewart Tucker Lundy. Stewart, thanks for being here. And first off, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. First of all, thank you guys for having me. And I'm loving the fact that you guys are employing blind guys. And, that's a cool thing. I just got to mess with Mike because I love him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mike, that's Mike's mission, and we're just trying to live in the values that Mike instills in us. So that's why we brought him on board.
Exactly.
I just got to know when my first payday is. That's all, Stewart.
See, speaking to you again, the man's got you. No, but that's your question. I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
I'm doing fantastic. In the midst of a pandemic and a racial upheaval, I think I'm doing quite well. So, it's sometimes when you get up in the morning, you look at things and you're just like, what the hell is going on? You turn the news on and you immediately start getting thrust back in this world we live in. So, so the first couple of minutes just like are bliss because you don't know anything, and you turn the TV on and you're like, shit, okay, I still live in 2020.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and I mean, what has it been like? Like, what have you been experiencing since, since COVID and then since George Floyd's murder? Like, what has been your combined experience as a Black man, but also as, someone who's disabled?
Well, the pandemic hit me. It was back in March, obviously, and my world was a world of a person with a disability, at least my physical disability. I'm in a wheelchair, and from the time you get injured, I got injured about 37 years ago. I'm 52 years old now. I was 14 at the time, but what they gear you for is this, go out, be a productive member of society when you're in rehab, physical rehabilitation and whatnot. So that's all you train for in essence. Is like, I'm getting back outside. Then a pandemic hits and they say stay inside. You're like, what the fuck? I don't know what else to do, so I don't know how to live. So, I mean, I've had to get used to it. I've gone from literally having not a big anxiety attack, because I don't want to use that word too much, anxiety, because a lot of people are going through serious anxiety, and me just being worried about silence outside, I don't think is up there. But I digress. But I would have this thing where at nighttime around 12:30 or 11 o'clock at night, I just would get a weird feeling because I didn't hear anything outside. And we live downtown Denver, so I'm used to the noise down here. And so we lived down here. And you wouldn't hear that, and it just got quiet, and it just would freak me out. It would go through some really dark thoughts in my head and everything. And then, fast forward, the George Floyd thing happened, and whoa, my world just it changed a lot. I mean, watching that man. There's stuff that as Black folks, some of us have dealt with for quite long. We've known about it quite a long time. Like I like the quote from Will Smith. He says, racism is always, that stuff has always been around. We just have cameras and we're getting on film a lot more. So it's been around. You just haven't seen it, and or heard about it, So or you have been hearing about it in volume that you're hearing about now. But the day that I did see that video, I have to admit, was probably the hardest 8 minutes and some odd minutes that I've watched to make a grown, dignified black man yell out for, oh boy, get chills even think about it, yell out for his mother, and he knows he's about to die. That shit just, yeah, I felt like I was watching. I've never seen a lynching in person, but I can just think to myself, this is what it is like to be at a public lynching. And that's what it felt like to me. And it fucked with me. It still does fuck with me. Even when I think about it, I just like, oh, man. You know, mama, I can't breathe. Help me. Oh, even now, it just messes me up. But yeah, so yeah, that happened, and you know, all the riots and all that kind of stuff that's still happening. But when it was in full force down here, downtown Denver, we heard a lot of crazy stuff, and it worried me. But right now, I'm in the place of, this is not my generation's fight. This is this is everybody's fight. This is not just for black people anymore, because a lot of white folks are seeing things that they probably would never be exposed to because they weren't sitting in the house 24/7. You're in the house 24/7. It's like Black History Month, but 365 days a week. I mean, you're getting a lot of education. I know I am. And just things, I've never seen so many things. I didn't even know there were that many black mayors and governors in the United States until I started seeing this George Floyd thing happen. I'm like, oh, people come on CNN, and I'm like, okay, I didn't even know we even had a black governor in that area. We had a black mayor, or this person. So it's a double-edged sword, but I think it's needed. This is needed, and I think that people, what they say, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. I don't think we were paying attention the first couple of times around, so I think it was inevitable. I really do think it was inevitable. This is inevitable. So, yep. Sorry.
Well, Stewart, I so appreciate the it's the first time I actually heard somebody describe it like you did, where it must have been like a public lynching. That brought chills to me, Stewart. So I couldn't agree more. I don't know if many people have ever really been able to have the experience of watching somebody die like that, you know, at natural death. So I think that was a amazing way to describe it. But I'm really curious, being part of the disability community as well, you know, what you know, because yes, you're part of the black community, but you also have a unique lens as being part of the disabled community. And I'm just curious from that standpoint, you know, what's a little bit different for you, you know, while you're going through all this, right? You know, is there, you know, I'd love to get it from that lens, you know, have you participated in the protests, all that kind of stuff, and what has been your experience?
Well, you know, it's funny, Chris, because did I just call you Chris? That's so messed up. I'm sorry, Mike. It's so weird.
I've been called worse, Stewart. Don't worry about it, buddy.
I know you have, because I called you that. No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking with you. No, it's weird because, you know, I was black before I was in a wheelchair. So, I mean, I've seen these things, and then with being a disabled person and things, you know, you really can't. I'm seeing them through the lens of inequity, the things not being fair. Just the other day, you know, I was sitting here and I got a little bit of we were playing our music a little bit loud, not loud, but, you know, loud enough. And for a brief moment, I thought to myself, damn, man, my wife was sitting here in the kitchen, and I'm like, wow, if somebody complains about this and they can kick open the door and shoot me and shoot my wife, it's not a damn thing I could say about it, you know. And that got me a little bit. But to answer your question, speaking about it from a disabled point of view, or a person with a disability, I'm conflicted, as well as I don't know which direction. I know what direction my heart tells me is like, okay, stick to the black plan, Black Lives Matter. But I know the inequities that we as folks with disabilities have always have not been afforded and things like that. So I feel like I'm doing dual work, to be quite honest. You're talking about that paycheck. I feel like I need to be paid for this. This is some, I mean, I'm on both fronts. I'm thinking about I'm trying to do as much to support as I can with Black Lives Matter. But, you're like, you had the ADA come up the other day or today. And I was never in both arenas, I have never been a full, just strong-headed, bam, I'm in there and I'll march and all that kind of stuff. I don't feel the need for it. I'm a little too old. And also, I feel I just work a different ways. I'd rather sit down and have a discussions or platforms like this. I'd rather talk about like this. The protesting thing, I've never been a really big fan of it as far as me. Now, for other people like Atlantis, Adapt, people like that, that's great. They're needed. They're absolutely needed because you got people who will just blatantly ignore you. And so both of these, I can see the arc of where they are needed and where there needs to be change at. It's just sometimes, some days, 50% Black Lives Matter, and then other days I'm kind of going, like this week I've been totally, or this week I'm going to be totally 50th or 30th anniversary ADA, and tweeting about that, trying to get that platform out or get that notice. Why are there people that still take acting roles and they are not disabled? They don't have a disability. And we talked about that when I was doing acting for family, and they call it crip washing. If you have blackface, you have things like that. What they call it crip facing, because you put a person that doesn't have a disability, and you put them in a role that somebody can get with no problem. Now, like I said, I go back and forth with that because the same thing can happen to Black Americans. You get somebody who's a good Black actor, but sometimes Hollywood doesn't see that role as a role that a Black man or a Black woman can play. And I'm in the area of, well, what about a Black person with a disability? So I'm hitting them with all the trifectas up in there, So, so it's got me, if anything, to answer your question, it leaves me fractured. It does. It's a mental mind fuck sometimes. And sometimes I have to back away from it, get some perspective, and then go in fresh. Because if I talk about it on a regular basis and try to do the work as far as getting out there and being that beacon, if you will, for lack of a better word, it gets exhausting. So I have to take a break. So did I answer your question? I went on a long rant. I don't know if I answered your question or not. Hello?
I definitely think you answered Mike's question. But I think I think you brought up a really good point, Stewart, that I want to acknowledge, and that's the fact that you are being asked to do free labor all the time, right? Like the people are coming to you and saying, "Here, educate me on disabilities, educate me on Black voices and things like that." And we're guilty of that too. Like, I want to acknowledge the fact that we aren't able to pay you right now as much as we would love to.
No.
And
no. If I didn't like you, I would be like, no. I like you. Only reason you got in is because of the blind guy.
No doubt you are doing us a favor. No doubt you're doing us a favor on this, but I do want to acknowledge that one of the things that we want to do is to be able to get sponsors. We've been talking about this. We want to get sponsors and be able to pay the Black voices that come on and share their time, their very valuable time. And so I do want to acknowledge that. Thank you for giving that time to us today. As a question I have for you, part of what we're doing is that, yesterday was the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act, and you generously offered your age 52, you said.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yes, I did. I am. I'm proud of that.
you lived in a world that was, this is not old, right? So you lived in a world pre-ADA and you lived in a world post-ADA. How have you seen this legislation actually have an impact on you and the lives of people with disabilities, or has it really had enough of an impact?
Well, I think it has, and well, I know it has, because it was so good. This is how good the ADA law was or is. Obviously, everything needs improvement, But I didn't know that I was in a wheelchair until I got around other people in wheelchairs. So I didn't really, it wasn't a thing for me, because after I got injured when I was 14 years old, I just, got back to started to try to continue my life as I knew it. And so it wasn't until I got around other folks. Went up to Craig Hospital for the first time. I think it was in 1997 or so, and it wasn't a problem. But then that's when I was like, oh, I look like that. Oh, I do that movement. Oh, I do. And it was a thing where, like I said, I didn't realize how good my life was until it was put there. It's like, well, check this ADA. I think it's one of my first jobs it was in Colorado Springs, and I worked at an independent center down in Colorado Springs. And man, I got educated quick, because I was like, oh shit, I've been taking this for granted. I just thought you just get on the bus and it's not a problem. Or I thought you just do this. It wasn't until there was a lack of it, or it wasn't showing up, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is a problem. Like the first time I took a bus and I was down in the Springs, and I went to the bus stop, and the guy was like, okay, the next bus will be coming probably with a lift. I would say give you about maybe 20, 35 minutes or so. I'm like, what? 35 minutes for a damn bus? Shit, I can just roll out and make it there by myself, But I just didn't understand, like, okay, well, why aren't there lifts on every bus? So then that's where working for the Independent Center and knowing these rights and everything else, then I started getting more into it, like the people who would climb up steps and block buses, and I was like really fascinated. I was like, wow, these are some badasses, some serious. I mean, it did nothing. I mean, just fortunately we buried John Lewis today, so it reminded me of that, of the nonviolent, or the right to be there without the good trouble, as he said so eloquently. Getting into good trouble. And those folks got into a lot of good trouble. And I can't say that I would be that guy that would be either a good black protester marching. I don't know if I'd be a good marcher, because I want to fuck somebody up. And so I don't know if I would be a good protester, because I don't think I have the temperament for it, because I can go from, not that I have anger issues or something like that, but I just would probably find it really hard to stare a police officer in the face. I mean, I have respect for law enforcement, but to know that at this point, especially after George Floyd, after some of the things that I've seen and witnessed for the people that work for DAP and the people who are on the front lines out there doing it, I don't know if I could do it, because like I said, oh God, it would make me so mad. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm like, this Hulk guy in a wheelchair is like looking to slam everything. No, it's totally not. It's just that I think that I'm a better communicator when I am a one-on-one and we can talk about it. The protesting, like I said, something different. But yeah, I mean, did I answer your question? I apologize. I go on my rant and I was like, hey, did I answer your question?
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I want to. How does, you mentioned family, and that group has come up a couple times, and I love that community, and it's an improv theater, right, for people with disabilities. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. It's a theater group. Actually, they put on.
Yeah, that's how. I know you told me a little bit about that experience when we talked previously, but how was an experience like that? How did that, what did that do for you, right? Like, did it, for like confidence, it helped build confidence? Like, what was that experience like working with that theater group?
It opened my eyes to things that I heard about families since I got here about 10 years ago, and people always say, hey, you've been to a family, like, hey, do you know this person, she or he works for a family doing this or whatever. And I didn't know, and I felt kind of bad, because as people were asking me, did I go to one? And then one day someone asked me would I be interested in actually performing with family? And I'm like, look, I'm not an actor, so I don't know if I can do this or not, because I don't have any acting experience. I mean, I can act like a fool, but I don't know how to, necessarily act like anything else. So I went down and I read with Reagan Lincoln. Reagan is their artistic director, and with her prodding and my wife's prodding, I did it. And what I found out when I got the role, and then also started acting and rehearsing with these folks, is at first I have to admit I thought it was going to be a feel good, huggy, look how great you're doing kind of a group of people, and I was so sadly I was so mistaken because one of the things they did, I wasn't learning my lines quick enough, and they locked me in a damn room and with themselves, and they wouldn't let me go home until I learned the line, and so I found out very quickly they were very serious about their craft, and these were veterans of the stage and theater. So I had to bring myself up to their level, and it made me look at it in a different way. I was like, I've been shortchanging my own folks, as far as this the acting thing. I thought it was just going to be like some, like I said, some little hug fest or whatever. You get notes when you're doing acting, and I thought notes was something that was a good thing. But no, the more notes you get is when they let you know you're fucking up. So I didn't know that. But, and it was a really good experience because, like I said, I got to be around folks that were just consummate professionals. And it just made me look at theater differently. It made me look at the process of working hard for something to love and just your craft. And despite having a disability, despite having that, and then also the willingness of the larger performing arts center to adapt to us. They would make ramps. In my baddest rock star performance every night was I came up through the stage being FDR, and that's the way I entered my scene. So I was like Beyonce for like 2 months. So I just come up through the stage and sing my lines and everything. But I thought that was so badass that they made this happen, and I know a lot of people would come every night. I mean, it got to the point where, I would ask the stage manager, how many people got in the audience tonight? Oh, 750. Oh, gosh, I wish we got 800. I got to the point I was getting addicted to it because it was such a good experience, and it didn't feel like we were putting on a show to show, hey, look, we're disabled, we're doing things. No, we were up there doing a job that was asked of us, and we were doing something that all of us felt passionate about. And we controlled the narrative once we got on stage of how you see us. This is how you're going to see us. And that was the power right there, is how you're going to see us. So, and from everybody from the stage director to the artistic director to the persons that are in the orchestra pit, they did a wonderful job. So that, it taught me a lot as far as just like, you could be next level with your shit despite your disability. And I knew that, but I knew it about myself. I didn't necessarily know about others could do that to that level. So yeah, that's what I learned from that. That was a really a big time learning experience for me.
Hey, Stewart, this is Chris again.
Oh God! When I did that, I was like, he is not going to let me live this fucking down. I never.
Oh no! Trust me, we're going to send you a check. It may not be to your name, but trust me, we're going to send you a check. So
it'll be in Chris's name.
Yeah. Just one of those big old 2 foot long checks.
Big ones,
all over it.
Oh God!
So what I'd love to, Stewart, because since I've known you, you've always had an amazing positive attitude. Since you and I both were on the Commission for People with Disabilities, we both believe in making a change. You're active on so many other levels, just within the city and county of Denver and beyond. And I'd love just to, what keeps you, like, with everything going on between George Floyd, we know ADA is great, but there's so much more to go. What keeps you ticking? Yes. What keeps you moving? What keeps you so positive? I'd love for people to get a little bit of that, my friend.
The fact that a lot of people woke up dead this morning and it fucked their day up, and I woke up this morning alive, and I feel like that's a gift right there. especially in today's climate and everything else, and just in general. I mean, I look at people sometimes and I think to myself, damn, when they're not smiling or for that matter, just not happy or just crappy individuals, whatever your situation may be. And I just think to myself, happiness is a choice. I choose to be happy. When I leave the house, my father used to tell me all the time, he's like, look, when you go outside in public, Stewart, you put your best foot forward. You put on a smile. If you don't make time for people. Because he told me that because he said there's so many people that are locked up in a prison and they can't get out. They got a cell and they let them out for 3 or 4 minutes a day and then they go back in their cell. He said, so enjoy yourself. If you're not ready to go outside and greet people at your best, then don't go outside. Why are you going to put that on them? Why would you put that on them? They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. They're just saying hi because they're trying to be pleasant, and then you come at them with rah, 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 rah. And it's like, well, why? You could stay in the house for that. So, for me, it's just that I have been very fortunate in my life to be. I'm just a happy person, man. I'm just a happy person. I'm just happy that I'm here. And there was a guy named Rodney that I was at one of the cabinet, the community events with that the mayor would hold often. And he said to me, he says, Stewart, I get that I feel like, you've lived these 37 years and you want somebody to know that it's not that bad. It can be lived. The life that you're living can be lived at a level of quality where it's not, being in a wheelchair isn't a death sentence. That's basically what he's trying to say. It's not a death sentence. And, I tell people, it's like, I've done a lot of things and I'm going to keep on doing a lot of things because what else am I going to do? I'm not going to sit in this house all day long. I'm not going to cease my life, cease living life. I just want to make people's lives better. If I can just go down the street, we can't do it now, but going down the street, and if I just smile at somebody, hey, how you doing? Then I feel like, damn, if anything, they can look at me and say, well, damn, why am I being so shitty? If that guy in the wheelchair just passed me, he smiles and everything. It's really hard for me to get in a negative space of mind, and I can't do it. I can't. It's a waste of time for me. It really is. So I guess I don't know if that answers your question, but I rambled a lot.
No, it's great, Stewart. And I've since I've known you, what people need to also know about you is that is it's a for real thing with you. And I know Mayor Hancock and other state level dignitaries, they when they see you, they know you and they respect you and they honor the suggestions that you give, buddy.
Well, you know what? The feeling is mutual with them, and I like people. I genuinely like people, and I know that sounds a little Pollyanna or whatever, but I was looking at some quotes with Anne Frank the other day, and it says, despite everything, I still truly believe that people are good at heart, and I think they are. I think that sometimes they get a little skewed with life and the way that things happen in life, but I think that people have good intentions. They just get fucked up sometimes when other things come into the mix. So
even that Chris fella.
Yes. See, I can't. As they say to go, I can't with you. I can't.
Well, Stewart, we really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Mike and Yubi, I guess Mike, aka Chris, but we call him Mike here. And Yubi, thank you so much again for creating a great podcast.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
I'm never living that down. I know I'm never living that down.
and to our audience, thank you so much for listening. As usual, you can listen to the podcast on our website, chooseinclusion.com. We also have it available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Closed captioning is also available by listening to us on our YouTube channel. You can get access to all those links on our chooseinclusion.com website. And thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Stewart.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
guys so much. I appreciate it. It was fun.